Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Niner Family Huddle podcast. The whole gang is back. Finally, we got Jason off the pup list. Didn't have to IR him. And we're going to talk a little Brock Purdy, a little Fred Warner. Bryce Huff got traded to the Niners. And we'll see what else comes up after this.
Man, been too long. It was nice to hear that and to see both of you guys here.
I know. It's not for a lack of content or things to talk about, because
Yeah.
the Niners have always got stuff going on too. But as we know, we're all busy and we got life gets in the way, as they say. What are you drinking there, Che?
It's my Game of Thrones goblet. But it's actually just kombucha.
Nice.
Are you so Chase, are you on a snap count or anything? Like, do we need to be worried about you going into this?
Yeah, if I just get mind if I go lay down like halfway through the episode. No, I should be good. So for the listeners that didn't know, I had a back injury. It was a bulge disc in my lower back, so I was having to lay down a lot, and that's why I haven't been able to make it. But I'm back, not fully recovered, but mostly recovered and on a good trajectory. So I should be good. I've been doing a ton of standing. I'm back at work and I'm having to stand a lot, so I should be good. In case of emergency, I don't know, I'll dip out and you guys finish, but I should be good.
Think Fred Warner would appreciate that you're playing through injury for him. So
He would have never even taken
that's
an
true.
episode.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Fred Warner come off the field for like one play, grabbing his collarbone. I'm like, oh man, I think he just broke his collarbone. And then he's running back out on the field the very next play. Like, oh no, just a stinger. I mean, that guy might be as close to the Terminator as the NFL has.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he did break his collarbone and just said it was a stinger, knowing him.
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of superstar 49ers, let's talk about Brock Purdy, because
Yeah.
the Niners gave him the biggest contract any 49er player has ever signed. And you know, if I was a good podcast host, I'd have the details of his contract pulled up, and I don't. But it was a 5-year deal worth up to 265 million, 181 million in total guarantees, and
Yep.
I don't know, maybe around 100 something million guaranteed at signing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan, so I'm
Yep.
very happy for him. I'm happy for the team. Did you guys, when you saw the numbers, did you think, oh my gosh, overpay? Did you think, hell yeah, much
For me-
deserved? What'd you think, Jason?
For me, not really. Like 52 million is what it nets out to, and I didn't feel like it was an overpay. I was worried it was going to go high 50s, maybe even into 60. But low 50s, I feel like is very tolerable. So I was stoked to see it, and I've heard different like media guys kind of break it down and how it's like team friendly and just how the guarantees break out. And I mean, it sounds like a win-win. That might be a little cliche, but I mean, Brock's making generational wealth, and the Niners aren't completely breaking their banks. So I was stoked to see it. I don't feel like it's an overpay. I don't feel like it's an underpay. I feel like it's right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that the way that I was kind of looking at it was anything over 55 I was going to think was too rich, and anything under 50 I was going to think was a bargain. So it was in the middle of that range, and I was like, that seems about right. So I'm happy. Honestly, like the biggest thing is just the relief that it got done and it didn't keep dragging on. So even if you want to say that it was a slight overpay for the people that aren't believers in Brock yet, like it's worth the slight overpay to just get it done and go into, like the official mini camps or voluntary stuff or whatever, like not having this hanging over their head anymore. So no, I'm happy with it, and I think the way that it's structured gives them, an out if he does turn into a pumpkin. I don't think he's going to. I think he'll continue to be Cinderella. But yeah, I think that I think it's makes sense all the way around.
Yeah, I think it's rare that I think, like Jason said, you can. It's a little cliche to say it's a win-win, but I really think they found the sweet spot where you can say that because, just like Jason said, Brock's making life-changing money that he never ever expected to make. He probably thought going in like, hey, if I can make $20 or $30 million over the course of my entire career, I'd be pretty excited. And he's going to eclipse that 4 or 5 times just by signing a piece of paper. So his cap hit in 2025 is $9.1 million. That's still very low. His cap hit in 26 is $24.7 million. His cap hit in 27 is $30.8 million. So his cap hits over the first 3 years of the contract are still pretty damn low compared to a lot of other top 10, top 15 paid quarterbacks.
Yeah.
After that, it spikes to $57 million, but by then, I'm sure they'll be restructuring his contract, and those numbers will get lowered. So, I've always said, like, you can pay a quarterback $250 million per season, and you can make his cap hit $5 million. So it doesn't matter if you pay him $55 million or $53 million or $57 million. It's how much you give him, and it's all about the signing bonuses and the guaranteed money. These cap numbers can be manipulated more than anything in this sport. So I don't understand the people who say, $50 million, they got a bargain. $55 million, overpay, they're screwed. Like, what is that $5 million really going to do? It's rare that you have a player like Zach Bond for the Eagles who comes in on a 1-year, $5 million deal and just makes an all-pro team. Like, those free agent signings just don't happen. So I think it's a win-win for both Brock and the Niners. And like you said, Steven, maybe the most important part of the thing is just getting the deal done. There's no off-season drama. He's there at OTAs right now, throwing the ball, practicing with everybody and getting the team chemistry going. He's the leader. He's there. And there's no drama. It feels like there's good vibes all around the Niners right now.
Yeah, he's tied for 7th right now in terms of quarterback pay. And think about how that's going to look in like 2 years or 3 years or something like that. He's going to fall out of that top 10 so fast. So like we're saying it's right now, it's going to look even better in like 2 or 3 years. It's going to look like a bargain.
That'll be when he has a couple rings and is widely considered a top 10 quarterback. I mean, it's going to be great. So
Then he's cash out, get the big money.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, who are the young guys coming up that are going to get paid? Like C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels is a couple years away still. So it's probably going to be guys like Lamar or Herbert,
Mahomes. Like there's going to be some.
Well, Mahomes is under contract for a long time still.
I think they're going to restructure it though. I think there's been a lot of talk.
They have, and they've like increased his cash flow. How Mike Florio explains it, so he's getting a ton of money, but his AAV is still $45 million.
Wow.
But like Joe Burrow, some of these guys are going to sign their third contract, and they're going to fly right past Brock and push him down even further. So that deal is going to look better and better with time.
Mm-hmm.
He just, a lot of people say like, oh, it's up to Brock now to prove it, like that he can be the guy. It's like, well, sure. To me, this puts pressure on John and Kyle. Like, you got to put the guys around him to have the success. There is no quarterback in the history of football who just by himself with a mediocre subpar team around him wills his team to playoff wins. Like, I know people kind of think Patrick Mahomes has done that recently because their offense hasn't been good, but their defense has been top 5, top 3, the best in the league at times. Mm-hmm. He's got a Hall of Fame tight end, a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, Hall of Fame coach. No one does it by themselves. So the Niners have to continue to draft and hit on draft picks. And the best way to do that is probably like what they've done with this past draft. Get a bunch of picks, like 11 picks. Draft as many guys as you can because you're going to whiff on some and hit on a few. And if they can do that, Brock and his team are going to be successful for a long time.
You know, agree.
So I would argue though, Ryan, that $5 million is meaningful. I know that it might not be in terms of like a single player, but where I'm glad that they, tried to stick to their guns and save as much money as they could is because that might be the difference. Like if you can pay a player 2 million more, yeah, maybe you're not getting a $5 million player, but you might be getting a $15 million player instead of a $13 million player because you have that savings. So that's where I do think it matters, and I'm glad that they weren't just like, yeah, whatever you want, blank check, So
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
I saw a report that he initially asked for 65 million. I like don't believe it.
Well, okay, so you guys know, Grant Cohn. Anytime he can like criticize the Niners or anything to do with the Niners, he'll do it. And he saw that report, and he was like, "Wow, I can't believe Brock Purdy would do that." And then the next day, he's like, "Yeah, I kind of asked around a little bit, and no one can corroborate that story. I don't think it's true." And I'd be shocked if Brock came in. Maybe his manager came in and said, "Hey, 65, like, let's just throw a Hail Mary and see what happens." But I really doubt Brock was like, "Hey, go get every penny, and I want to reset the market." I just don't buy that.
Yep.
yeah, it's probably just a little bit of speculation and a little bit of, maybe it was thrown out as like a straw man or whatever, like, well, we could start here, top of the market.
Yeah, I mean, even top of the market is like 60, 61. Like, you don't have to go to 65. So, I don't know. It's like, why not ask for 75 million a year? And then when the Niners say, okay, well, how about 30 million a year? You can settle in the middle at like 45 or whatever. Like, I don't buy that they came in with that crazy number. That doesn't seem like Brock. Doesn't seem even like smart negotiation.
Yeah.
So I don't buy that. I'm just stoked it's done. I just last offseason drained me between Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams, especially Ayuk. And even Ayuk's even in the news like over the last couple days with his social media posts. These guys with their cryptic posts. He posts a picture of T.O. doing sit-ups in the driveway and these like vague captions and like, can we just stop paying attention to these guys? Can we stop writing articles every time someone posts an Instagram story and like just not give these guys that ridiculous attention? And then I hear the wide receiver coach, Leonard Hankerson, for the Niners, and he's because they just interviewed all the assistant coaches just got interviewed recently. And he's like, Ayuk's like a second coach in the meetings. He's like up drawn on the whiteboard. He's like coaching up the young guys. Like he's a leader in the room. But then on social media, it's like, is Brandon Ayuk disgruntled? Like, dude, can we not with this stuff, dude? This is so dumb. Just let the team work. And, I don't know. It's just, I'm glad this season is drama free. Off season.
Yep. I agree. I'm so over the drama. And I won't even give that Brandon Ayuk social media stuff the time of day. Like, I just, like you said, from last season, I don't even care. I'm so focused on, like, seeing what the rookies can do and, like, following their storylines and hearing that Jordan Watkins has kind of been popping off. And I'm like, ooh, do we have, like, a young receiver? Like, that's where I'm focused on. I'm honestly pretending like Ayuk isn't even on the team. Like,
yeah.
Period. Like, I'm just moving forward with, we got Juwan Jennings and everyone else, and that's going to be our receiving core, and we're still going to be a really good offense.
Are you guys concerned about the receiving core? Like, let's pretend Ayuk is not there until Halloween. And like, do you think they have enough at wide receiver right now to win and be competitive, or do you think they need to add more?
If everyone stays healthy, I think it's a mediocre receiving core, and if people start dropping, like, God forbid, if Juwan gets hurt, then it's like a bottom 5. I feel like receiving core in the league, like it's bad.
Because Ricky Pearsall's hurt right now. He's not practicing.
Yeah. But it is a receiving core with potential because of how many young guys there are. Like they've been talking up Jacob Cowing. They've been talking up Jordan Watkins. Ricky Pearsall, first round pick, pretty high expectations. So I don't know. They could exceed expectations, but because there's so much unknown, I don't feel too good about it. But I'm excited to see who kind of breaks out and see if someone can set themselves apart.
So I'm not concerned. Not even a little bit, honestly. Not because I'm gonna sit here and tell you that the receivers that are out there are studs and they're gonna, just dominate. I'm not concerned because I don't think that Kyle's offense relies on a dominant receiver. I think that the scheme has proven that multiple different guys can succeed and contribute and look like good players. I mean, his rookie year, I thought Trent Taylor was a diamond in the rough because
Yeah.
because of how, Jimmy kept finding him, and I think it's all scheme. I really do think that a lot of guys can go there and look good, but none of them are going to go there and look like an all pro. And the other reason that I'm not concerned is because of the guy on Chasen's jersey, because he's not a wide receiver, but he can give you wide receiver production. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like the Harbaugh era Niners, especially before they got Anquan, had basically garbage at receiver and Michael Crabtree. And they went to 3 straight NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. So, no, I feel like there's plenty of precedent for relatively middle of the road receivers, being serviceable on winning teams. And I feel like the Niners have that in front of them. And the other thing is, hopefully McCaffrey is healthy and he's going to be a receiving threat too. So I just feel like the scheme, the personnel, you put it all together, they're going to be just fine, and everybody's going to, catch a bunch of balls, and it's not going to be one guy going off like, getting a 30% target share or something crazy.
It kind of makes you wonder why the Niners paid Ayuk what they did. Because you're absolutely right, Steven. He's never going to catch 120 balls in a season. But if he had never torn his ACL and he was just perfectly healthy, is he ever even going to catch 90 balls in a season? His career high is like 76. And he averaged like almost 18 yards to catch, so he had 1,300 yards. That was when he was in the second team All-Pro in 2023. But like, if you're not catching 100 balls, that alone probably doesn't make you a top paid wide receiver, no matter how dynamic you are with the ball, and Ayuk is dynamic with the ball. So is Debo. Debo's elite with the ball in his hand, or was. He wasn't worth the money because he wasn't getting. I mean, he was getting touches, but he wasn't always dynamic as he was, I guess, in 2021. But yeah, I don't know. The wide receiver room's a little interesting because it's. If you told me Ricky Pearsall was going to be healthy, I'd feel pretty good about it. I'm a Ricky Pearsall believer. Obviously, Juwan is a dog. And I've been hearing good things about Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins, both their 4th-round picks from this year and last year. Both guys are really fast. I've heard Cowing's put on some weight. He was, I think, maybe a little too small last year. He looks competitive and fast out there. And Jordan Watkins, it's funny, Grant Cohn the other day, he said, he's like, when I first saw the Watkins pick, I thought, oh no, Dante Pettis. But now when I'm seeing him out here at practice, I'm like, no, this guy's closer to Ayuk than he is Pettis. He's big and he's fast. And I thought, and I've been hearing him make catches. I heard he burned Renardo Green for a touchdown at practice. So,
Similar stuff from David Lombardi talking about he looks way bigger than he thought he was going to be, and that he looks really good out there, and he's been getting snaps with the first team.
Yeah, well, with no Ayuk and no Ricky, I mean, someone's got to do it, and good for him. If he can step into that spot and take ownership of it, they need that, because you can't rely on just Jawan.
Well, didn't they also sign, is it DeMarcus Robinson that they brought in?
Yes.
And I'm not, once again, like, ooh, man, we got DeMarcus Robinson, Super Bowl, championship, baby. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but he is...
Never missed the playoffs in his career.
He is a serviceable pro and proven to be that. And I think you can rely on a guy like that. not to be the game breaker, go take over, whatever, but he will make a few plays here and there, and he's gonna catch the ball when you throw it to him. Like I feel like he's gonna do the basics of what you need. So I think they're gonna be fine, honestly. And I just don't expect any Pro Bowlers coming from the Niners at receiver.
The only problem with Demarcus Robinson is he got a DUI last year,
Oh, okay.
and he's expected to get suspended for the first couple games of the season. So he won't be reliable in that stage.
No,
So
he
they're going to
won't.
need
Yeah,
Ricky. They're going to need Ricky healthy and either Watkins or Cowing or both to step up. And obviously, feature Kittle.
yeah,
And
and
if
CMC.
McCaffrey
Yep,
can catch 7, 8 balls and George can catch 7 to 10 balls, Juwan catch 5 to 8, and Ricky catch 5 to 8, and you're running the ball for the rest, yeah,
you're
you can
fine.
get by with that.
You're just fine. Yep.
Um, let's talk about Fred Warner a little bit. Fred Warner got a contract extension. People were talking about it all off season long that Fred was going to get a deal, and I wasn't so sure because he came in a year after George and he got paid a year after George, and I thought he might have to wait one more year to get paid. But I think the Niners appreciated what he gave them last season, which was a fringe All Pro season. He did make an All Pro, but we've been watching his whole career. He had a down year a little bit, but he did it on a friggin' broken ankle. So I think they appreciated him gutting it out all season long, even when the season was lost. And he got rewarded this offseason. And he's another guy I'll put right there with George Kittle, who I want to see retire in the red and gold. And I hope he'll have that opportunity. And man, I want him. This team has to win a ring. They've got to win inside the next 2 years. And their team is not built to do it this year. Doesn't mean they can't, but they've got to win a ring inside the next 2, maybe 3 years, because I need guys like George and Fred. I'll even throw Trent in there, even though he's not an all-time Niner. These guys got to get a ring, and I'm stoked for Fred, and I'm stoked that he can lead guys like Nick Martin, because I've heard a lot of good things about Nick Martin into the future linebacking core. What do you guys
Yeah,
think? Can he retire a Niner? Does he have that in him?
I think so. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. I guess once you get to like the end, folks' career, like if the Niners feel like he's past his prime, but maybe other teams don't, or other teams want to bring in big names, like you never know. I mean, Jerry Rice, greatest of all time, and he even played elsewhere, so that's tough to predict. But yeah, I'd put Fred and George in those categories, guys that I do think could retire a Niner.
I think that I think that the odds are both will, but it's not like it's a certainty, right? But I mean, how can you not love and respect and want Fred Warner on your football team? Like, is there anything the guy does wrong? Like, I mean, it just seems like, you get a leader, you get a good person, like a good guy. He plays like, every snap is his last, so he's always, 100% full go. Like, he's everything you would want a football player to be. Like, this is the role model to follow, young guys, when you come in. This is the guy. And so, yeah, I think it's great that they rewarded him now, and he's the perfect guy to reward. And I hope that he is able to, yes, make his whole career as a Niner, like to stick around, and be productive into his later years, where he can, have like a Ray Lewis type of story, right? Like where he maybe isn't in his prime, lost a step or two, but still a contributor and able to go out, like with his head held high and hopefully as a champion. And and and
Yeah,
I think he still has a lot of time. Like, I'm not saying like, I know you're talking about 2, 3 years. I don't think that's Fred's timeline. I think Fred's probably got more time than that. But Kittle might only have that, just depends on his health. And Trent, like, I feel like if you're expecting more than 2, 3 years out of him, then you're lying to yourself. And so, yeah, there's other guys, that are like, they're definitely longer in the tooth, Um, but yeah, I think Fred still got. I mean, you never know injuries and everything, right? But I mean, to me, it feels like Fred's got at least 5 more years of high level football.
How old is Bobby Wagner right now?
Oh,
Because that's the career arc that I was wondering. Like Jason said, Fred is a big name. He could be past his prime, but a team's gonna want to bring him in because of his leadership and his career and just a team that's real young and they want to bring a guy like that in to kind of show them the way. But he's not the same player anymore. He's 34.
that's what I was gonna guess.
So Fred's 29. So yeah.
Is Bobby Wagner the last remnant of that old Seahawk defense that's like still in the NFL? I think he is, right?
He's got to
I
be.
can't imagine there's any other guy still hanging around. Like,
What's crazy too is that safety tandem didn't last very long. Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor.
Cam had like a career-ending neck injury, I think, and I don't remember what happened to Earl.
Earl went to the Ravens and just kind of got washed up, and he might have even went somewhere else after that. I don't know, but just didn't have the same magic.
Yeah, he just kind of became obscure.
But I mean,
Yeah, I think Bobby Wagner is the last of a dying breed from that squad.
it's kind of amazing that even there's one left because that was a long time ago, like
I know.
when they were in their prime, you know. So yeah, good on him for still holding it down for that crew.
Yeah, but that's what makes it tough though. Is you have a guy who's like we're talking about Fred. He could be like right now he's undisputed. He's the best linebacker in football, and they're paying him like it. He's the highest paid linebacker in football. But if 3 years from now he's the sixth best linebacker in football, but you're still paying him like the best linebacker in football, all of a sudden it gets a lot harder to keep him. Now, if you want to keep him, you can extend him and you can lower his pay. But is he going to want to take that pay? It's just like the Eric Armstead thing. Like the Niners liked Eric, they wanted to keep him around, but he's not producing at the level they were paying him, so they offered him a pay cut. Jaguars said, "We'll pay you full price," and he's a Jaguar now.
Yeah,
So that could happen with Fred as well.
Eric was never the impact
He
player
was never Fred,
that Fred
obviously.
is. Yeah, that's not it's not the same, and I think it's one of those situations where it's like he's more valuable to the Niners than anybody else because of the history and the role that he had. I mean, he's been their defensive captain basically since the beginning, you know? So it's just like the continuity that he brings, the professionalism, like I feel like it's just worth more to the Niners. And also, in your scenario, 3 years from now, he won't be the top paid linebacker in football. There's going to be guys that eclipse him by then. So if
Yep.
he is the sixth best and he's getting paid as the fourth best, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. See, I don't follow linebacker play around the league, so I'm like, well, who's going to eclipse him? Is because like Roquan is the other guy who's even near his level as far as pay and play, but Fred just surpassed him. Is Roquan gonna get another deal? Is there like I don't know, Jalen? Is it Jalen Walker who just got drafted by Atlanta?
There's probably guys that we're not even thinking about and guys that we maybe haven't even heard of that are gonna, step up and be those guys. Um, I feel. I mean, what did Zach Bond get? You were just talking about him earlier. Didn't he get a pretty fat
8
payday?
million.
I could look that up. I think he was in the mid to high teens.
But
Yeah.
anyways, point is, I think there's gonna be plenty of young, good linebackers that are gonna get paid by teams that want young, good linebackers.
His average salary is 17 million per year, 3 year 51 million,
Jesus. What did Dre get? How much did
3 year 45.
What's Fred's number?
He's at 18 million a year, I believe.
No, he was. I think he's now up to like 21.
Is he? Oh. I
Yeah,
thought he was
his
at
first contract paid him right around 18 million. But I think this contract, yeah, puts him at 21 million. 3 years, 63 million.
Yeah, I don't follow enough linebackers around the league, like you said, Ryan, to know like, oh, watch out, this is the guy. This is who's gonna jump in there. But I know there are guys that are
Oh
going to
yeah,
be
I'm
making a
sure.
name for themselves.
I think the Lions have a linebacker they drafted a year or two ago that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted
Oh,
him with Jameer Gibbs and Sam Laporta. Um, is Fred Warner a Hall of Famer if he retired right now?
yeah. Oh, retire right now?
Right
If he
now,
retired right now and didn't play another snap in the NFL.
I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to know exactly how many All Pros he's had and everything, but
I think 4.
hmm, has he made the Pro Bowl like every year, or maybe not his rookie year, but every year since then?
Let's look up the Fred Warner resume.
I
4-time first team All Pro,
Wow.
4-time Pro Bowler in those same years, 2020 and then 22 through 24. You see what's interesting about that, by the way? He didn't make it in 2021, not because he was injured or missed games, but because in 2020, after 2020, he had his contract negotiation. He missed out on a little bit of time in the offseason, got paid, had a lot of pressure on him, and it affected his play. Every time the Niners pay someone, they have a down year.
I'm so you're saying watch out for Brock this year? Like don't draft Brock?
No, see this one, no, because Brock, they got it done early.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
point.
Okay.
Fred, George, Debo, Nick, Brandon, all those guys dragged on either to the start of training camp or into training camp, and it affected every single one of them.
Yep. Yep.
In this one, they got it done, and Brock is there practicing at the OTAs right now. It shouldn't affect him. If Brock has a down year, it's because Brock just had a down year. You can't blame the offseason.
Did you guys hear Fred Warner's recent interview when he talked about that year and some harsh reality that Shanahan gave him?
No, tell me.
After the Bears game, they barely squeaked it out, and I guess they normally don't have Wednesday walkthroughs afterwards, but Kyle said, like, we're having a Wednesday walkthrough because I guess it was a sloppy game or whatever. And then at practice, Kyle came up to Fred and was like, you know why we're doing this, right? It's because of you. And Fred was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, you look slow on film. You look tired out there. You look sluggish. So we're going to have to start having these practices till we kind of get it back into shape. And Fred was like, oh my God. He's like, I'm coming off my first all pro year. Like, got this money, like all this stuff. And Kyle's being like, yeah, you look slow on film.
So I'm surprised to go back to your question. I'm surprised he doesn't have more Pro Bowls. I thought he would have had one or two before 2020.
Well, he didn't get one in 2019 when he should have.
Yeah, so he's probably not. If he retired right now, he's probably not a Hall of Famer. He's like, not far off, just by like the traditional view and whatever. But I feel like what could help him, I mean, we're Niner fans, so we're biased and we pay more attention to him, but it feels like he has been pretty much widely regarded as the best linebacker in football for like a good 3 or 4 years now. And that part would help him because people in general would think, "Oh yeah, Fred Warner, best linebacker in football." So that
Since
Yeah.
2020,
yeah,
and because people don't really think about that 2021 year, because he still played and he played well. He just wasn't like all pro Fred.
yeah,
He was just LB1 Fred.
it's really too bad that he got hurt last year because I think through the first 4 weeks, like we talked about, he was like defensive player of the
Dude.
year. Like
Yeah.
he was just amazing. And then he got hurt and he looked like, a human.
Yeah, he looked like a predator out there.
Yeah.
Like from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like he just looked like a different beast. And the defense was just clearly not the same, but he put the whole defense on his back. And then he broke his ankle and he still put the defense on his back and limped to the finish line. So
You know how sweet it was the very short period of time when Dre played, just seeing him flying around stuff in the run.
that first half against the Rams.
Yes, he was just everywhere, flying around, just freaking busting running backs up. I'm gonna miss him.
So
Yeah, it's like not only is Dre back, he might make a Pro Bowl just by this one game's
One
performance.
game. So,
First,
but I've been hearing, like you said something earlier, Ryan, about good things about Nick Martin. I've heard some good stuff about him too, and sounds like that's
Mhm.
exactly what he's there to do is fly around and stop the run. So, um, and I'm not giving up on D Winters. I mean,
I'm not,
I know we need him to stay healthy, but I'm not mad at our linebackers right now.
no, I like our linebackers. We got some young guys. Fred will lead them, and everyone else gonna have to step up. But there's a lot of potential. I'm really excited about Nick Wright, and I also haven't given up on Winters.
Nick Martin.
What did I say?
Nick Wright is the dude on talk shows.
Yeah, Nick
That dude
Martin.
talks so much s on Brock Purdy. Yeah, Nick Martin. I've heard he's just flying around at practice. Like he's might be the fastest linebacker on the team. If you told me Nick Martin, because I think he's going to beat out D Winters, if he's the weak side linebacker and D was the strong side linebacker, and then you have a borderline Hall of Famer right in the middle,
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that. And I think
so
there's some undrafted guys, some cheap free agent guys that have some like pretty solid depth behind those guys. We'll see if Curtis Robinson can get healthy and make the team. Hopefully he can. I like him.
yep.
Um, this team feels like it has potential to be better next year than it did this past year. Not just record, but just like as a team.
Hmm.
But I have to say, this team, one similarity that worries me from this team to last year's team, feels really top heavy. It feels like there's a lack of depth. Um,
Definitely on offense. I feel like definitely on offense, but defense, I don't know. I feel like our D line right now is super deep after we traded for Huff. I feel like we got a few dudes in the secondary that can be interchangeable, and then I feel like our linebacker core is deep.
So I think it's just unknown, honestly, Ryan. Like, I mean, I don't think that you're dealing with a bunch of players where you're like, yes, these are stars and these are guys that are below average and we know they're below average and we can't have the stars get hurt or you're screwed. I think it's you have stars and you have a bunch of question marks because of their youth and inexperience. Could bite them. Like it could be bad. Or it could also be amazingly good because all these guys that nobody really expects come out breathing fire and, just take over the league. I'm not saying I expect that. I think the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. You're going to have some hit that are going to be good and you're going to have some that are bad. um, but I don't think you can say they don't have depth. You could just say they don't have experienced depth right now.
on paper, the depth is awful, but you're right. Who knows? Like the O line depth to me is terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
horrifying.
one Trent Williams injury away from having the worst offensive line in the sport. Um, we saw what this offense looks like without Christian McCaffrey. Not great.
Yeah.
There's nothing behind George Kittle.
Nope.
I don't want Mac Jones in there, so obviously quarterback's a different position, but if Brock goes down, that would be bad. We already talked a little bit. The wide receiver depth is not great, but like you were saying, Steven, there's a lot of young, unproven talent. For all we know, those guys could step up and ball out. So who knows? And then even on defense, like I might have to disagree with Jason a little bit because the D line scares me. Because even the
Really?
starters, it's like talented guys, first and second round picks. But what if those guys aren't good? And who's behind them? Like Kevin Givens, like Evan Anderson. I don't. The depth is just. I don't. The Niners used to have a backup defensive line that could start for half the league, and now it's like they've just got young, unproven guys, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Even in the secondary, it's like who's playing safety.
Yeah, I do not know.
I do like
Yeah.
our corners. I will say that I like our corner group, but who's playing safety?
Deagle, their seventh round pick, is gonna have to
Hurt.
start at D.
Yeah,
He's hurt.
it's it's gonna be an interesting year because there's gonna be so many like things get proven out, like whether it's proven good or proven bad, they're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how they are, and I
Yeah.
think you just gotta hope as a Niner fan that they have enough of a mix where they still have those stars and those veterans that can show them the way and lead the young guys through, and then hopefully the young guys want to make a name for themselves and they're not just satisfied with making it to the NFL. They want to get out there and actually become something in this league. So I like the opportunity. Like, I feel like this is better than going in with a bunch of middle of the road guys that are vets that you're hoping are gonna, be the best version of themselves. Um,
Hmm.
does that mean the results are going to be better? I don't know, but I like the opportunity is better, you know.
I also really like that we have one of the best defensive coordinators in the league teaching and coaching up these young guys. We have a new special teams coordinator, which our special teams has been horrible, so I don't think it could get any worse. I think it will get better. Not that it's going to be like a top 10 unit, but if we can be like an average unit. Um, and then we also have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. So it's going to be an interesting season. I feel like there's a lot of potential, a lot of unknown, and a very easy schedule. So I'm kind of like stoked for this season personally.
I'm excited and I'm optimistic, but I'm nervous because I feel like they're a couple injuries away from having a disastrous year.
See, I
For
I I kind of love that there aren't the same expectations that there's been, that because I feel like that makes it a little easier for guys to just go out there and be free flowing and be themselves. Like these new guys, I mean, I think the players expect to win the Super Bowl. Like, of course, that's what they're telling themselves, right? Like, we got the squad right here to do it, right? So that's great. Keep telling yourself that. But it's not like they're coming off of a Super Bowl appearance where it's like, oh, you just tweak a couple things and you're good to go. Like, they're coming off 6-11. That's
yeah,
Yeah.
that's you you got to go prove yourself. And even the guys that have been around, which I think that's part of why all the vets are showing up for all these camps and everything, because they know we've got to
yeah,
get back to basics and we've got to just go out there and dominate.
yeah.
So, Jason mentioned special teams. What do you
Yeah.
guys make of all the special teams turnover, except for the one guy that they probably needed to replace?
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of bummed that, like, I forgot that Mitch was gone. Like, yeah, I like
Yeah,
Mitch.
the Bloomin' Onion.
Yeah.
The Bloomin' Onion era is over.
Did
Yep.
he sign somewhere else?
I don't think so
I don't
yet.
know. Probably not yet.
He is also 33, so he's not as young as I thought he was. He must have come into the NFL kind of old.
He
I don't
got
think he's.
drafted at like 28 or something.
Mm.
Yeah, he was 27 or something when he got drafted.
I like Mitch a lot. I think it might have been time to move on with the injuries, especially like with like a back injury. Maybe could fester and come back. He's 33, so yeah, he's pretty old. But man, I liked him. There's like a highlight tape I saw on Twitter of him like on kickoffs, just absolutely sticking dudes. Like he was an athlete. He wasn't afraid to hit guys.
He was a rugby player. He wasn't afraid to get dirty.
Yeah, so I'll miss him. Um, I mean, the new guy we signed isn't any younger though. He's like 39, but
Yeah, he's older, and their new long snapper is 39.
mm-hmm.
At
So on special teams, that must be like a defense only.
at at Grandma Sandra's the other day for the graduation parties. I was sitting and I was eating with Gary Jr., Gary Sr., and my dad, and we were talking about Caleb. I think it's Caleb, who's long snapping.
Yep.
And I was like, the Niners just signed a 39-year-old long snapper. He's probably got a year or two left, and then they're going to need a new one. So maybe Caleb's got future 49er, in his future. And if you can get into the NFL, you can play for like 20 years.
Yeah.
as a long snapper because the NFL protects long snappers. You can't rush over them anymore, and all you gotta do is snap the ball. Like you
Hmm.
can do it for a long time. So
That would be so sick. I'd imagine that's like his dream come true growing up as a Niner fan.
oh
Like,
yeah, well I assume he's a Niner fan. I don't actually know. For all we know, they're Raider fans or something.
he said that Gary said that it's literally his dream to be drafted by the Niners.
Well, he'll never get drafted.
Or
Any general manager who drafts a long snapper should be fired on the spot.
be signed, play for
But
the Niners, suit up.
yeah, I mean, even if you got a tryout and lost the tryout, that would be pretty freaking cool. But who
Hmm.
knows? Maybe he could, the guy's 39 years old. It's not like he's going to do this till he's 45 years old. And Caleb's got only a couple years of college left. Who knows? That'd be so cool.
Oh, I'd be so happy.
So to go back to your question, Ryan, like as much as Moody was annoying last year, um, I do think he was the most valuable of their special teams players to keep around and still has the most potential. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't feel like he was as bad early, and it was after he got hurt that he really looked bad. And so I'm telling myself that get fully healthy, and now he's got something to prove. So hopefully he can come back and be the guy that everybody wants him to be. Um, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying like expect him to become the best kicker in the league next year or anything like that, but I think that you know there's still something there that you got to give him one more year, and then you can make up your mind.
He changed his kicking motion, apparently.
Yep, I saw that. He only takes 2 steps now instead of 3.
Yeah, 2 steps instead of 3. So does that mean he's going to sacrifice a little distance for accuracy? I don't know. Don't know anything about kicking. But I'll tell you what, I always hear that kicking is very similar to golf. And you can have a great swing for a little while and then it just kind of falls apart out of nowhere and you got to tweak it and you can fix it. But I'll tell you what, as a golfer myself, I would gladly give up distance for accuracy. And I mean, Robbie Gould for the Niners for years, anything over 49 yards, like, I don't like this. But anything under that, it was automatic.
Well,
And I would take that.
I would think that a two-step approach is also going to get the ball kicked and up in the air quicker, which I feel like wouldn't be a bad thing for him because it seems like some of his kicks are low. So if you're kicking sooner, then hopefully the rushers aren't as far back and don't have their hands up as high just yet. But I'm not an expert.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're kicking a 55-yard field goal, you want to keep the ball a little lower so it goes a little further. If you're kicking a 35-yard field goal, you just want to get it up in the air and get it through. So we'll see, Jake. I know they brought in a little bit of competition for him this offseason. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Honestly, so I'm also excited because I feel like so many things went wrong. And I know everything can go wrong again, but like how many times did we like just get so frustrated that the Niners were the better team on the field and lost a game last year? Like I feel like
Yeah.
I said this a bunch of times last year, but I think they were like a 9 or 10 win team that had some tough breaks and things go against them. And I'm not even so much talking about the injuries. I'm talking about the teams that were on the field, the days of the games.
Yeah.
And they were at least 3 wins better than their record showed. And I feel like I want to believe that they've improved from there just by
Yeah.
trimming some fat, hopefully getting some young, hungry guys. And that's before you even talking about guys that get back from injury that we know are studs.
Yeah, I feel like the schedule is a massive effect there too. I mean, the Niners had one of the toughest schedules in the league last year. They had 21 days worth of rest disadvantage, which led the league last year. They played 4 teams coming off of a bye. They play 0 teams coming off of a bye this year. They have more rest advantage games. They're not like number one or anything, but they aren't playing any teams coming off a bye. They've only got one Thursday night game as opposed to 2. They're not playing as tough of teams. The schedule this year compared to last year is night and day. And that alone makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Plus, no Super Bowl hangover. They've got rest. Kyle's been talking about how like the team has been just full of energy out there, like just pissed off about how last year was, and they can't wait to get back out there. Whereas last off season, it was more like, dude, we just lost the Super Bowl. We already got to go back to practice again. It was like they were just mentally worn out. So,
Kyle had a pretty boss quote about that. Did you hear it, Ryan?
I listened to his press conference, yeah, but what quote are you referring to?
It was like, he was like, okay, the previous years, guys, I get it. Like, didn't have a lot of rest coming off the Super Bowl loss. Energy was a little low. Like, I understand it. But this year, I won't understand it. Like, I'm expecting.
Yeah, no excuses.
Yeah. So, and clearly everyone listened, other than, I guess, Trent is still gone a little bit.
No, I saw he's there today.
Oh, okay.
And I saw even video of him with his helmet on practicing. He
Wow.
some offensive lineman was holding a pad while they like do the blocking things, and he threw that dude to the ground. Dude's like, "All right, Trent, first day, and you're just gonna throw me to the ground."
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Time to get serious.
All right, last thing before we call it. The Niners made a trade. They brought in Bryce Huff, edge rusher from the Eagles. Gave up a mid-round pick. I still haven't seen what that pick is.
I did.
It's a fifth conditional fourth, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on his sack numbers, I think. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I wonder what that sack number is. If it's like 10, then get to 9 and bench him. Kidding.
Save
I mean, even if they gave up even if they gave up a 4th-round pick, I think it's a good deal. A 3rd-round pick, I'd probably be like, that's a little rich. 4th or 5th, whatever, that's fine. Niners are paying almost half of his salary. I think 8 of the $17 million he's due.
Yep.
And he was really good with Robert Saleh and had his best years of his young career with Robert Saleh. Did not fit schematically with the Eagles. He wasn't even active in some of their playoff games. I don't think he was active on Super Bowl Sunday.
No.
And clearly he just kind of did not fit there. So the Niners went out and got him, and I think it's a good trade because Mykel Williams is a run guy. At least at age, 20 going on 21, rookie. That's what he did at Georgia. He was excellent stopping the run, and that's what I think the Niners want him to do early in the first year or two of his career is just go out there and set the edge and stop the run. And over the first 2 or 3 or 4 years of your career, develop as a pass rusher, and he can be one of the best edge players in the entire NFL. But right now, just stuff the run on 1st and 2nd down, and we'll bring in guys like Bryce Huff to come in and rush the passer on 3rd and long. So I think they've got a nice little 1-2 punch opposite Bosa.
I agree, and he's 27, and he just turned 27, like last month, I think. So he's like a young.
He's in his prime.
Yeah, in the prime of his career, has a number of really good years left. He was a stud under Saleh. Will be a rotational piece, just rush the passer. 2 years ago with Saleh, he had the highest win rate as a pass rusher or something like that. He beat out like Michael Parsons or something like that. So
yeah, it was like almost 25% of his reps he won.
Yeah. So clearly under Saleh, or Saleh clearly like knows how to use him and use him very effectively. So I agree. That 1-2 punch over clearly like a stud run defender and then just like a stud pass rusher. Like that's quite the 1-2 punch. Then you have Yeater going inside and outside and spelling Bosa, some young big boys in the middle. I'm really excited about our D-line.
I wonder if Mykel Williams is going to move to the inside when Huff comes in and be a pass rusher.
That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't be surprised if on pass rushing downs you see Gross Matos and Williams move to the inside and then have Huff and Bosa. I mean, if it's an obvious passing situation and you're not trying to, stuff anything in the middle anyways, why not?
If Yeater stays healthy, I think he's going to get a lot of playing time, and I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to have a good year. He's healthy.
I hope so. We're talking about all these guys, and I know Nick Bosa is incredible, but someone has to give him a break too.
Yeah.
So, We talk about spelling, coming in for Michael, but like, first of all, Michael is a rookie who's so young still. He's got to prove to have the physicality and the endurance to stay on the field for that many reps. If he's going to just play first and second down, maybe that's fine. But if you're going to move him inside on third down to be a pass rusher and bring in Huff, he's got to be able to prove that he can physically do that. And if he can't, let's get CJ West in there. Alfred Collins, I know he's a big, strong guy, but I got Kinlaw fears. Like big, strong guys, sometimes they don't last. So he's got to get healthy. He still hasn't practiced yet. And then Yatur Grossmatos, like maybe he's the guy who's spelling Bosa. Like
I think
Bosa, when he plays about 70% of the defensive reps, he's like peak Bosa. Last year they had him playing nearly 80% of the reps, or maybe even over 80. I can't remember. And his numbers were, he looks superhuman, but he is a human.
Yeah,
he needs a break.
So, my view on the Huff thing, I think it's a good flyer to take. Like, why not? I saw something on, I don't know if it was like, it must have been on X or whatever. I don't know, but somebody was like, "Oh, Roseman does it again. He fleeced the Niners, or whatever." And somebody's like, the first reply was, "The Eagles are paying more than half his salary. What are we doing here? Like, how are you? How is that? You're paying half the salary for him to not play. That's not fleecing anybody."
yeah.
Yeah, when I see the comments, or when I saw Schefter's tweet, the comments are all like, Niners fleece the Eagles. Eagles fleece the Niners. It's like, you're all stupid.
Right? Yeah.
And most of them are even trolling. They're probably not even serious about those takes. But yeah, to me, this trade also signifies that the Niners aren't some like young rebuilding team, and we'll just, we got all these rookies. We just want to see what we got. Like, they know they got young guys, but they know they got a bunch of proven winners too. And going out and getting a veteran guy like Bryce Huff, who's an excellent complementary piece, a guy that they need, a pass rusher, that tells me this team knows they can be competitive and they plan on being very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
They view themselves as a playoff team for sure. And I know other people around the league, I've heard people say like, I think the Niners, they might be better than last year, but they'll probably miss the playoffs, or maybe they'll make the playoffs and lose, kind of a one and done season. And I'm like, if this team makes the playoffs, book them for the NFC Championship game. We'll see if they can get past that one. This team does not lose before the NFC Championship. I don't know what it is about the Niners. They're drafting the top 10 or they're in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And I think they're winning playoff games this year. I'll make that a prediction right now. They're winning at least one playoff game this year.
I have a feeling, my prediction, I think this rookie class gonna be ballers, like multiple. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 guys that are gonna pan out and be really good.
Well, I'm high on Nick Martin. I'll tell you that. CJ West, Nick Martin, Michael Williams. I think all three of those guys were good picks. Even Upton Stout, I think he'd be a sneaky little player.
I agree with that. I also think that the guard out of Iowa, the 7th round pick, I think he's gonna be a starter by mid-season, and it's gonna be good.
If not week 1, who's he competing with? Ben Barch?
Yeah, he is. Big Ben.
He could win that job.
He could. Yeah, could be week 1. I think this rookie class is gonna look really good, and hopefully they mesh well with the studs, the stars that we have, and dominate this week's schedule. I mean, why not?
And hopefully they get some mid-season reinforcements too. They get Ayuk and they get Mustafa.
Yeah. Do we know how long Mustafa's out?
No.
Say he'll be ready for the beginning of training camp, but that's just him talking. I think people said miss a few games in the beginning of the season.
He tore his ACL in January or December. It was literally the last game of the season. He had his surgery probably a couple weeks after that. And I think he has said, I've seen him on social media, I'll be okay for week 1. Even if physically he is, the Niners aren't just going to roll him out there. They like to slow play, and they like to get you practicing for a couple weeks. Maybe he's, at best, if he's back by week 4, I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
And to me, that's optimistic.
You know, Jerry Rice once tore his ACL in week 1 and played week 15.
Did he really? That's bad.
And he,
Yeah, I mean, Curtis Rourke, the Niners rookie quarterback, tore his ACL last season and played through it all season.
yeah, Jerry caught a touchdown in that game too. He was not his normal self, but yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're different. There's partial tears, there's full tears, there's those things
Yeah.
probably matter. To me, it's like Ayuk, I'm expecting like week 6 to week 8, and Mustafa probably the same. So we'll see.
I yeah, I mean, I feel like I remember us being pretty excited about last year's rookie class as the season went along, and part of that was because they were forced into action. It was like, hey, these guys
Yeah.
aren't so bad, right? Like they look at there's some real promise here. I like to think they're only going to get better, like a second year under their belt. And so if Chasen is even half right, like if it's not 5 or 6 guys, but it's 2 or 3 guys that are ballers, I feel like that's a win right there. And if it really
Yep.
can be 5 or 6, that's incredible. So
Yeah, that's incredible.
we'll just see. But I like the youth movement going on with the Niners right now.
Especially on defense. There's so many guys. Is Upton Stout going to be their slot corner, and are they going to move to Lenore?
I think they're going to try. I think they're going to give Stout an opportunity to win that job. We'll see if he can.
That's interesting. Even I
Um,
feel
yeah,
like
he's just a little small, but he's ferocious.
I've heard he's super feisty. He's tiny, super feisty, and he put up the most bench press reps out of any DB in this draft class. So he's clearly, he's not weak.
He
He's just short.
says he when he works out with his team, he lifts with the linemen, not the DBs.
Yeah, he lists with the D lineman. So
We talked about this when he was drafted. He's the epitome of the size of the dog in the fight, not the fight in the dog, or vice versa. Sorry, I messed that up. But yeah, I mean, Pooney and Pearsall, the second year players, if those guys can elevate their game and they can hit on a couple rookies, this team's going to be. We're going to look up in week 15, like, yeah, the Niners have 12 wins. No
Yep.
one expected this. So
and we have one of the defensive coordinators in the league. So it's like, who better to learn from, get mentored from, coming to the NFL as your coach? Like, it's set up from that standpoint.
Yep, nobody expected it in 2019 either, so
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
Yep. All right. We'll call it right there. We'll do it again maybe next week or a couple weeks, whatever you guys want.
All right, sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
GG's. See ya.
Later.